Ducks, it's Simon here. Thought I'll just give you a bit of an update. You'll have noticed I've not been around for about a week. And if you're not a member of the Hermit's Cave Facebook group, then you're probably wondering where I am. So you'll have seen from the title as well. I'm just doing this video really just to let everybody know how I'm getting on. I've got or tested positive for COVID 2 days ago, but I had symptoms the day before, so this is kind of like day 4 now of having COVID. In fact, I'm just going to take you with me into the kitchen because I'm going to make a coffee as I talk to you. And I'll talk to you about how I got it, symptoms and that sort of thing. It's still dark, 'cause it's really early in the morning. Excuse laundry and things like that, but yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a coffee and then sit and have a chat and just bring you up to speed on what's happening. Okay, talk to you in a second. Okay, so I've got my coffee. So firstly, I just think I want to just say and let everybody know that I'm okay. Actually, I'm not too bad, and I'm very conscious that, you know, there are still people who aren't surviving this illness, so I'm mindful of that, and I don't want to be on here saying, you know, it just feels like a cold, or it just feels like flu, or because it's going to be different for every single person, and I'm very, as I say, very mindful that it's going to be different for different people, various ages, people with various conditions, but also people at different stages of vaccination. So I'm fortunate in the fact that I was able to get boosted. I am coming towards the end of my, well, we don't know where we are with boosting. You know, people are saying it's 10 weeks, 3 months, but there isn't a plan in this country for reboosting yet, but I'm coming towards my 3 months because I was boosted at the end of October, but now towards the end of the first week of January. But thankfully, I was boosted, and so when I did, you know, end up with COVID, the worst my symptoms have got is flu-like symptoms, where I had very sore eyes, a thick throat, which I've still got, blocked nose, and then shivers and sweats, achy limbs and joints, and a little bit of a headache. And probably the worst day so far was yesterday. There are people saying to me that day 5 is the kicker. You think you're doing okay, and then you get to day 5, which day 5 is tomorrow for me. But again, everybody's different. And I'm not here either to have an argument with anti-vaxxers. I'm not interested in that. I won't enter into conversations about that. I believe in the vaccination process, and, you know, I'm looking at my sister, who's also now got COVID, who hasn't had her booster yet, and her symptoms are much worse than mine. My mum, well, let's go back. Let me just have a sip of coffee. Let's go back and I'll tell you how I got COVID. So my mum took ill again a week before Christmas. She started down the cycle that we've come to recognise now as probably having a water infection, where she loses the use of her legs. She gets very confused, even more so than normal now, and quite incoherent. So 111 was called, which is the non-emergency number as opposed to 999, where they give you some consultation. A clinician calls you back, and then they'll do an assessment over the phone, and if needed, they send an ambulance, which they did. And she went into hospital. They found out that she'd got a water infection that had become a chest infection, and she'd got sepsis, which we was very concerned about. She was very poorly, on oxygen, steroids, antibiotic, intravenously, 3 different types. And she was in hospital for about a week. She came out on Christmas Eve in the evening. She was not given enough antibiotics. her course ended on Christmas Day, and the day after Boxing Day, it had come back and she was readmitted into hospital. Because it was just after Christmas, it was extremely busy. She spent 18 hours waiting in A&E for a bed, and we believe that that's probably where she contracted COVID. We didn't know. She came out, they got her right. They put her on, a drip because she'd got some kidney damage. They put her on a drip and started pumping more antibiotics into her, and then she was released 3 days later with a course of antibiotics, which took her to New Year's Day. All that aside, she's now at home. We didn't know she'd got COVID, and I went over on New Year's Day to spend the day, and when I got there, she'd started to cough. She was coughing and snivelling. My sister came with her husband and cooked dinner for everybody, well, the four of us. There was just the four of us there. We kept it very low key. But by the end of the day, my mum's health had deteriorated quite rapidly. So we ended up calling an ambulance, which took 12 hours to get to her. It's just the state of things over here. Not angry, not blaming people. It's just, or the system, because it's rife. So therefore, people are people. They're not superhuman. They can only do what they can do. She went into hospital. She was tested for COVID and was positive. She's still there. She's been on oxygen for 3 days. She's now off oxygen. She was weaned off it through the night. But all four of us have got COVID. So myself, I tested positive first. My stepdad tested positive the next day, and my sister and brother-in-law tested positive yesterday. So that's how I've ended up with COVID. We didn't think we was putting ourselves at any particular risk. We just wanted to see a loved one, on an important day. Never in a million years, because my mum is isolated anyway, did we even think, there was a risk of contracting COVID. So, I'm okay. I am okay. I am isolated. The latest I can come out of isolation is a week today. So next Thursday. The earliest I can come out is Monday if my lateral flow tests negative on Sunday. And again, on Monday, you have to do it twice. If they're both negative, you can come out of isolation on the 7th day, after the 7th day. If they don't, you continue until you do get 2 days worth of negative results up until the Thursday, and then you don't even have to do a lateral flow on the Thursday. Once your 10 days are up, they're up. And that's the hardest bit, because I live on my own. Being isolated is always challenging, isn't it? And when we had the quarantine streams, that was one thing I looked forward to, and I did consider doing quarantine streams, but I don't have or didn't have the energy for that, to be able to sit in a chair and talk for an hour. And also, coughing hasn't been too bad, but when I do start to cough, I rarely cough, and that's not fun either. So I'm just sitting it out, riding it out. I've got online shopping. I've got some online shopping coming this morning. I have a few bits and bobs in, and I can't complain at all. So in terms of I'm at home, I've got my things around me, this bits and bobs I can do. I am doing a little bit of work from home. So, I'm replying to emails, I'm doing some online training, I'm supporting my team. I'm trying not to do anything too strenuous either, because I know that long COVID is a reality as well. And if you work too hard, even mentally, whilst you're trying to rest from it, then it can have adverse long-term effects. So I had to stop it there for a little bit of a cough and a sneeze. To top it all off, just my luck, 2 days ago, I was putting some rubbish down the chute and I trapped my finger in the chute, and it instantly swelled. I'll try and put a picture in here if I can. And it swelled around the knuckle, so I cannot get this ring off. Of course, you know, I'm isolated, so it's not like I can nip to A&E, although I did get some medical advice and they said that I could. But yeah, I just can't. I can't walk into a hospital with COVID, and just the thought of potentially even passing this on to anybody that's vulnerable. Sorry about all the interruptions, but you really don't want to hear me coughing. Yeah, and the one bit of power that I have, and we all have if we get COVID, is that this virus that's in me, these particular, sorry, just got distracted then. The virus that's in me isn't going anywhere. It's not going into anybody else. You know, that's the power that I have over this, is yes, I've picked it up, but I'm not gonna pass this on to anyone else. So the thought of going into the hospital, even, you know, and while I'm keeping an eye on this, you know, it's okay. As I say, I can't take that risk of, you know, the people that I could encounter and the people that I could pass this on to. So particularly in a hospital where they are the most vulnerable. So I quite like the fact that I'm isolating, even though it's tough to isolate, but I like the fact that I can control who doesn't get my germs, you know, and picks up the virus from me. And that's the responsibility we all have, not just a legal responsibility, because it is a legal responsibility, but it's a responsibility, a moral and ethical responsibility. The moment you feel ill or you get a positive lateral flow or even a PCR, even if you don't feel ill and you get that result, is to isolate yourself, and then you're taking back the power. You're not causing anybody else on this planet to suffer as a result of your lineage with this virus. And over the last 24 hours, the bruising has really started to come out now. Again, I'll put another photograph in. But I'm not too concerned, because even though it's really red compared to the others, the ring, I can still move around. So I don't think it's, you know, it's stuck, but it won't, I don't think it's trapping anything or causing any. The swelling is more around the knuckle. And, you know, I've had lots of people send me things about string and dental floss or soap and washing up liquid and butter, and it won't come off. The knuckle is too swollen, so it won't come off. But we'll see how we go. I'm keeping an eye on it. But I was just like, how can this happen? Right, where I can't leave my home or do anything about it. Yeah, so that was fun. I do have some videos I want to make, but I'm going to leave it a little while longer because the voice, the sneezing, the coughing and all that sort of thing. And I just want to just take a few days just to continue with the resting up and not doing anything really to exert it. So thank you for everybody's messages. I've really appreciated the check-ins on me. That does mean a lot when you are feeling really rough, when you're on your own and contact is quite minimal. To get those messages of support is I'm just so grateful for. That was another reason why I've come on, to let you know that I'm doing okay. But also just to say thank you for all the messages, and for my mum. I've had loads of lovely messages about my mum as well. You know, and touch wood, and I know things can change daily. She's doing okay. Finally being weaned off the oxygen. She's sitting up, so that's all looking positive. I can't believe the amount of things she's been through in the last year. And she's still with us, and she's still fighting. You know, she's had 5 water infections, 3 chest infections, sepsis, bronchitis, pneumonia. She's got polymyalgia, mild cognitive disorder, and now COVID. And, you know, thank goodness she wouldn't have survived this had she not been double jabbed and boosted. And again, this isn't to argue, but the facts speak for themselves. 6.1 people die per 100,000 without any vaccinations. People who are double jabbed, that reduces to 0.5 per 100,000. People that are double jabbed and boosted, that reduces further to 0.1 per 100,000. And with the state of my mum's lungs, because she has lung disease, on top of everything else, the chances of her surviving COVID, had she not been boosted, let alone jabbed, boosted, would have been quite well, the odds wouldn't have been in her favour, really. So anyway, I hope it's not too long of a video. I just wanted to come on and just let everybody know I'm doing fine. So far, day 5 is tomorrow, we'll see. But I think this is the longest I've been able to sit up in a chair as well, because the achiness has been what's really been the killer. But yeah, thank you for listening to me, and thank you again for all your messages of support. I will be back soon, and until then, go in peace. Namaste, and blessed be.